Yeah, she remarried Greenberg. Dancing before.
Okay,
Yeah.
How was your dinner? I hear some applause here. Once again, I want to thank you for coming to the Worthington High School 30-year alumni annual dinner. It has been a pleasure working for you this year. It's been a lot of fun. I want to say special thanks to our crew. I'll go through their names here in a little bit. We are also broadcasting live on Facebook, Worthington High School Alumni Group right now, so if you know anybody who wants to be here and wants to catch it on their phone, they can jump in right now and see it. We're also going to film part of this tonight, hopefully have it on the website later on the Worthington High School Alumni Group website. So if you want to see a playback of some of the things going on tonight, feel free to check that out here in a couple of weeks when we get it produced. In just a moment, we'll have our fight song. We're getting queued up for that right now. We have dessert going around. How's the dessert? Have you tried that yet? I see some thumbs up over here. We have the class tonight, a class of 46 sitting over this table on my left. Great turnout for that class, including our own Virginia Bill. Virginia's been with us since before I think I was born. In the 30 years. Oh my God, I'm sorry. Class of 46 is great. We have a group over here, and they were glad they all made it together. We also have class of 48 here tonight. Where's 48? Celebrating their 70th. They're at this table here. 7 years. How about class now of 58? I have some 58 for 60 years. They're kind of scattered around here. Let's see what over there. And I'll go to the 50th in a minute, but let's take a class of 88. I know there's a few people from 88. We're inducting them into the Hall of Fame this year, as the 30-year club does. Who's 88? I know there's at least 2 or 3 that made it this year. Right here, okay. And we have a family from 68 and 88, is that right? Yeah. Okay. So we have parents, I guess, and kids. All right. How about a class of 70? And actually, my table over here. They're doing their 40th. And 79, my own class, we have Scott Cameron from, I'm sorry, Steve or Scott? Steve Cameron, my fault.
I got used to it.
He said he's used to it. Steve, by the way, has been working at the Cape Hatteras Lighthouse in North Carolina. So, are you still doing that, or are you done with that now?
I'm going home tonight.
Oh, you went back there tonight?
No, I'm going home finally.
Oh, well, okay. He must have been working down there. So if you've been to Cape Hatteras the last few weeks, you might have run into him down there. So a few people getting out of doing a few things. So are we ready over there, cheerleaders? Okay, we're going to go ahead and get our audio guy ready, gal, sorry, to cue up the fight song. So I'm going to bring out Sandy. Keep going. repeat that one more time. Is that it? I guess that's it. Okay. Thank you, Linda. Dan Crabtree, are you present? Dan Crabtree. There he is. Now, Dan got with me a little bit earlier and did a sound check. He wrote a song, and I have it listed here. The song is called "We Thought We Were Cool." We're going to party like it's 1968. But I'm going to go ahead and put the mic up here. If you want to stand in front of it, that'll pick up the guitar and the PA for us.
All right, Dan.
Come on, Dan!
We were the kids of Worthington, had the perfect childhood. Growing up round the old town square, learning bad and good. On the banks of the old Intangi stands our Cardinal High School. Up and down those long locker line halls, and we thought we were cool. We were the class of '68. We thought we'd change the world, be a doctor or an astronaut, or get to second base with a girl. Back then there were no snow days, McCord would not hear of it. Off to school, you don't live that far away, just don't get buried in a drift. We hung out at the confectionery, swimming pool, the Dairy Queen. We learned to drive and then we cruised down High Street. You know, all the girls thought we were keen. We were the class of '68. We thought we'd change the world, be the first woman president, or snag a man, give marriage a whirl. Excuse me. How about t-shirts and beer for our senior case cup? All us boys made up doubles team, played tennis, got drunk, and threw up. Remember the homecoming flows and the junior-senior prom. Gowns and tuxes, we were so sophisticated, it scared me like this in Vietnam. We were the class of '68. We thought we'd change the world, be successful in all walks of life, or maybe just commune with some squirrels. Here we are, it's been 50 years since we all left high school. Guess we didn't really change the world, but we still think we're cool.
Come and sing it to 7950 is way in a few years.
Nah, he's ours.
Plus, we're going to copyright.
Contract.
Okay, I'm going to bring in John Snauffer from the class of 1970. He knows a lot of people from the class of 1968, and he's going to kind of take over the presentation for a little while this evening. I'll be back here in a little bit. So John, who is our emeritus for the Worthington High School Alumni 30-Year Club, got very busy with the Worthington Historical Society recently too, so he's been very busy for us. I appreciate him doing all he does for our group, so thank you very much, John.
Thanks, Mark. Like Mark said, I was a young sophomore, as you all were seniors, and I was lucky enough to be friends with most the Colonial Hills group.
Yeah.
But there are people like Chuck DeWitt, Mark Burleson, John or Casey Kelly, who had either brothers or sisters that we all would play the wiffle ball, the softball, the football together at Selby Park or Colonial Hills. And so they were kind of like, I could say, older brothers to me, helping me get accustomed to high school. And then some of them, unfortunately, hated me because I was the starting guard as a sophomore on the basketball team, and I know I took away several positions of the seniors. So. Anyway, John Donovan, where are you? There you go. Would you like to come up and say a few words, please?
Somebody put Jeannie and Cinda out in the hall because I talk the whole time. And also, no pictures, please. My wife thinks I'm mowing the lawn. Okay, so I guess by now everybody else in the room, other than our class, knows we are the coolest class ever to have graduated from Wilmington High School. I'm trying to be humble, so I'm just here to make an introduction of our speaker tonight. And but before I do that, I do want to thank John and Mark and the trustees of the Alumni Club for not only doing what they did tonight, but this is quite a tradition that works for a lot of graduates from Wilmington High School. I guess also Thomas Wilmington High School, whatever. But it's a lot of work. We all understand that, particularly our committee understands it because they just had to spend an entire year planning our event. So thanks, John and the trustees and Mark. So we were, as the 50-year group tonight, we were charged with having a class speaker. Thankfully, it won't be me. But we had a pretty easy time, the committee. And I should say, I want to stop right here and just say a couple words about this reunion committee that was led by the iron-fisted Charles DeWitt. It was one thing to plan this big-time event for this week, but they also, to their credit, planned an entire year of celebration, as they called it, which was really an incredible thing. We've been having events probably every 2 months or so since last summer, I think. Anyway, it was a terrific job they all did, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. I didn't want to mention all the work they've done. But it was an easy job to pick a speaker to represent us tonight. They simply wanted somebody whose years at Worthington High School were beyond exemplary, served as a model for life, all those things. So naturally we selected Sandy Worth, who many of you know as a local person. And Sandy is currently, I suppose many of you know this, but Sandy is currently president, CEO, and owner of Paul Worth Associates, a communications and PR company that was started by her father in 1983. She obtained her bachelor's degree at Kent State University, eventually came back to Ohio State and got a couple of master's degrees. Is that correct? Two master's degrees. And she taught in elementary ed and special education before joining her dad's company in 1983. Her work there provided advice and guidance to companies, organizations, and CEOs throughout Central Ohio and Ohio. And she is highly respected by both her peers as well as the business leaders that her and her company served. And as if it were not enough to become a highly successful private businesswoman, she has also received recognition by being on the board of trustees at Kent State University as well as chairing that august And notably, and what really brought her to our attention on the committee was last year she was named by the, I have to get this right, she was named CEO of the Year by the Columbus CEO magazine in the field of small for-profit businesses. So, none of this surprises any of us who knew her at Worthington. Class of 60, 4 years we spent in high school. She was always out front. She was regularly a class officer and cheerleader, of course, as we all just learned at the end. And I can think of no one in a better position to represent the class of 60 from Worthington High School than Sandy.
Thank you so much, John, and my classmates. It's really quite an honor to be here representing our class, and I just can't thank you enough for the opportunity to be here and to reflect on our years at Worthington High School. The class of 1968. We didn't know it then, but we post-war baby boomers were witnessing the end of an idyllic era as we neared our graduation in 1968. We were the first class to reach 400 graduates. We still wore skirts and dresses to school. And our cheerleading outfits, our cheerleading skirts actually hung around our knees. We worried about our senior monologues. And by the way, who can forget Carolyn Conroy's monologue? Remember that? She portrayed a cocktail olive in a very stiff martini. We worried about going to college, we worried about staying in touch with our friends, and we worried about how we were going to pay for that class gift. Well, the Keltners, thankfully, found a beautiful old school bell in southern Ohio. It turned out to be our class gift. And that gift serves to this day as the Thomas Worthington High School's victory bell. Between our freshman and senior years of high school, though, something was changing, and very dramatically so. None of us will ever forget exactly where we stood on that cold and cloudy November day in 8th grade when we heard someone tell us that President Kennedy had been shot. I was standing at the drinking fountain in the East Wing just before our 8th period history class. By the time we were seniors, our innocence and that of our nation was mostly shattered. In 1968, the year of our graduation, we witnessed the assassinations of Martin Luther King and Bobby Kennedy, the Tet Offensive in Vietnam, the war protests in Washington, D.C., and the race riots across the country. Suddenly, or so it seemed to us, we had more to worry about. Draft, Vietnam, and civil rights. It's interesting that this week, CNN has a 4-part series going on. It's called 1968. They call 1968 the most turbulent time in modern American history. Well, we also emerged from WHS in 1968, ready to take on the world. Stan sort of gave us a prelude of that. Our Worthington upbringing and education, really thanks to the greatest generation, our parents and our teachers, really prepared us well for the world that we were about to face. Madame Melo had inspired Janine Lacey and Carolyn Conroy and Kathy Lewis and I to travel to France, where I ultimately returned to teach. Mr. Haas relieved some of our fears of math, and Mr. Dayton gave us an appreciation for our country's history. And God bless Charlie Roscoe. Many of us still have our copies of his book, Chalk Dust on My Shoulder. His passionate account of teaching all of us, which even inspired some of us to become teachers. You know, the class of 1968 was filled with warm, caring, funny people, and I remember that most of all. Oh, and I also remember the parties. We were definitely party animals. It was just in our DNA. When we were just 7th graders, we pleaded and begged with our youth fellowship leaders to reinstate the dances that were held in the basement of the Worthington Presbyterian Church. They relented only after we had promised that we'd behave much better than any of those classes that had come before us. And for most of us, that church basement was likely the scene of our first slow dance to Bobby Vinton singing Blue Velvet. To this day, when I mention canteens in the high school gym, people look at me and go, what in the heck is she talking about? But of course, we at Worthington all know that the canteen is the social highlight of the week. And once the Beatles came onto the scene, we danced, or some of us just stood around, to the sounds of She Loves Me and I Want to Hold Your Hand. It wasn't long before we had our own version of the Rolling Stones. The Dantes came onto the scene. They were our band of choice. They frequently won the local Battle of the Bands contest, and we were very proud because they were our very own WHSers. You know, our class also loved the Sadie Hawkins Day dances. We girls had the annual opportunity to ask the boys to a party. You know, I look around and I think Sadie Hawkins is kind of obsolete these days. But I remember wearing the weirdest get-ups to the Sadie Hawkins Day dance, and I think they were probably conceived after watching one too many episodes of the Beverly Hillbillies. But sadly, the guys missed out on one of the great party concepts of our generation, the slumber party. It's somewhat a misnomer because we rarely slumbered, but did we eat? And did we laugh? And most often, we also tried to levitate a willing girlfriend. Remember this? We would all surround her, lying on the floor, put our fingertips under the parts of her frame, and each of us, one by one, would solemnly intone, she looks dead. She looks dead. She looks dead. We did that until we couldn't do it anymore. We would burst out laughing. And we never got to the levitation part. My slumber parties were at my parents' home in Brookside, where we had 2 big picture windows flanking our living room. At night, those picture windows acted like giant mirrors. They would reflect back the images our images when we stood in front of them. So at our slumber parties, we put on the Supremes on the stereo, turn it up as loud as it would go, and then we'd sing Stop in the Name of Love while performing the line dance in the window. It was so great. But funny thing was our neighbors never said a word, but I just wonder what they were thinking when they were driving by late at night seeing us imitating the Supremes. My dear, dear friend Linda Forward and I used those windows to practice our cheerleading so often that the pipes in the basement eventually came crashing down, much to my father's dismay. When we were seniors and deep in debt from the fabulous gay 90s prom we had hosted, our student council treasurer, Jim Wilson, came up with a brilliant idea to raise money. Guess what? Let's have a party. And so, with the help of our advisor, Barbara Reddick, our student council, and all the various classes and clubs, we hosted the first of several annual winter festivals. We turned the gym into a carnival with games and food and entertainment for the whole community. I don't remember how much we made that day, but we sure had a lot of fun. And speaking of our prom, ours was going to be the best party ever. Jody Baber led our efforts, creating the most beautiful and creative ideas that turned the gym into the gay 90s, complete with gas lights, antique shops, a barbershop quartet, and a beer garden. While the prom was a fabulous party in itself, the months and months of preparation and creation offered us their own unique social atmosphere and spirit of fun. We'd learned a lot about turning work into fun through years of homecoming float building at Bill Ingram's house and at Joan Hildebrand's. While we may have lost a few hairs or gained a few pounds over the years, we have not lost our passion for partying. As you've heard, led by Chuck DeWitt, our fabulous reunion committee wouldn't settle for one big reunion blast. They've been hosting parties for us all year. Their vision of a year of celebration has just been fantastic. Beginning with a tailgate party at last year's homecoming, we've gotten together for a trip to Amish country, a high school play, and a pub crawl. Well, on June 4th, 1968, we celebrated our graduation with one last party planned by our mothers at Brookside Country Club. Our mothers collected S&H green stamp and Buckeye stamp books so that they could acquire the door prizes that we would carry on into the next chapter of our lives. And it's just so beautiful that tomorrow night we will return to Brookside to look back on 50 years of life since high school and to envision the world that still awaits us. I know we'll discover and rediscover that the class of '68 was truly filled with warm, caring, and funny people, and that our spirit is still alive and well today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sandy, very much. Okay, if we can do this in a somewhat 1968 order. This is time to receive your official congratulatory certificate from Superintendent Trent Bowers. I need Patty, you know where you are. Come on up. We are going to try to do this alphabetically. So Advent right here, W's up the ramp, and when you get your name called, you'll come up after Nikki reads your name and receive your certificate. So class of '68, up.
Steve, you're watching? Your name's on here. Are you watching?
Ladies, alphabetical by your maiden name, please. Thank you, Marilyn.
Got Gary Skinner from Clearwater, Florida here watching right now. Hi, Gary. Sue. Hi, Sue Collier. We're getting everybody lined up to receive their certificates for the evening. All the class of '68 will be receiving a certificate for their 50th reunion celebration, presented by John Snelfer and Nikki Nesda.
Okay, here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, as you receive your certificate, what would Mrs. Cogill say right now? Ladies and gentlemen, as you receive your certificate, if
if you would please line up on this side of the podium so we can get a group picture. We'd appreciate it. Thank you very much. And I'm also very excited to present these tonight, as I was friends with many of you and knew your class almost as well as my own. So welcome. Congratulations.
And Nikki wasn't going to be here tonight. Diane Blaine was going to help us. But Nikki is now a brand new grandmother, and I am a step-grandmother. So she came home, her grandfather, so she came home.
All right, first honoree, Patty Advent Kelso. Peggy Albright. Cinda Anderson. Mark Barkhurst. Next, well, we got John Beatty. I think you guys are out of order. Is Jan Bartelt McNeil here? Yeah. Well, no. Okay. Well, then you are in order. John Beatty. Randy Black. Jeannie Bolander. John Briggs.
Are you leaving?
Jim Castle. Holly Church. Wendell. Susan Coombs Neiman.
Bunch of cameras here.
Dan Crabtree. Chris DeGraw. Chuck DeWitt. Applause and kudos for Chuck DeWitt. John Donovan. Janet Edwards Wenzel. Mark Foreman. Jim Gray. Carrie Green. I might use the opposite. Valerie Griffith. Rigoli. Carol Hamilton. Charlene Hiller Parrott. Pam Holtzberry Holbrook. Debbie Houston Payne. Pam Humblebee Zyke. Not here. Sue Calder Torrance. Sandy Knoble Koopman. Mike Cole. Mark Leonard. Susan Lindbergh Novell. Ralph Lowry. Kathy Lyle. Marilyn Mock West. Mike McCall.
Hey, Chuck, why don't you get us in 2 rows down there?
Please make 2 rows. I think this is the biggest turnout we've ever had for the 50-year class. This is a good organization. Because they are so cool. Marcia McManus Yoder. Rod Michael. Rayanne Moses Kavanagh. Mark Neiman. Debbie Parrott. Tom Pugh. Larry Ray. Stephanie Reichert Wilson. Susan Russell Ray. Jared Savage. Libby Shobat Clark. Don Schmidt. Christine Shama Johnson. Dave Shepard. shoes. Renee Wendt Meehan. Sandy Worth Ratchford. Greg West. Nyla Whitfield. Bill Williams. And Nancy Young Allred.
Take a picture
We're in
here.
class, the 7th, 8th year class, then we're going to talk old age, okay?
You getting them all?
Thank you.
I'm gonna take photos
Congratulations.
here.
We're gonna get a group picture, and it's great to see all of you.
We're going to pause for a 50-year picture, so if you could, John's getting on a chair here. I'm going to grab one myself. We have the, let's see here, the taller folks in the back and a little bit shorter folks in the front. Or we'll just go up high. Let's just go. I'm one of the youngest ones here. Let's go. Don't stand anything. All right, you ready? One, two, three. Take a couple more here. Okay. One more. Anybody else want to grab a few shots? While we're up here. Any more pictures? Okay, a couple more phones so I can. Okay, thank you very much. Class of 68, ladies and gentlemen. Classes. I think we're around 53 to 55, which is pretty good. About 10 to 20% of the class. I want to say thanks to Dan Crabtree for doing the guitar solo for us. Okay, we're going to move on. On pages, let me see, 15 and 16, we're going to do a moment of silence here in just a second. The hardest job I have as president of the organization is getting information that we've had people pass. The toughest thing for me to do for my own class as well as all of our classes. And we try to keep an accurate record. We have to verify it with either a newspaper or the legacy website to verify. As we did have one come back from the dead last year. So we do verify thoroughly now. That was good news. But in class, on pages 15 and 16 on our program, these are the folks that we've lost since last June. We keep a record from June of the prior year to about May to June of the year we're in now, here 2018. So if we just give us a minute, we'll do a moment of silence on our lost fallen cardinals. Now, as far as our Outstanding Achievement Award, we also lost our one of our former 30-year club members, Mary Ann Griffith Harnack. She was from the class of 51. She had served in our group for a number of years, and we miss you very much, Mary. She was with us here the last several dinners, and she was a great help to the organization. On our page 17, we do have a list of our Outstanding Achievement Awards, and some of the names you may have already heard tonight. Gary Russell being one of them was my 8th grade teacher at Worthing Way Middle School in the 70s, and he did a book called Chalk Dust on My Shoulder. I think we almost all remember that. And he was a very good influence on me as well. It kept me going through school through a couple of bad grade cards I got, but got through it. Okay, we're going to move on to our next section here. A couple announcements to make, first of all. This is regarding the Linworth Alternative Program School, the high school there, which is still going on to this day. They're having their 45th Linworth Alternative School reunion in just over a month actually less than a month now, on June 23rd. So if you know anybody that attended the alternative program, that'll be coming up on June 23rd at 6 p.m. at Linworth Campus School there in Linworth. I remember when Linworth had no traffic.
I remember going there.
I remember last week that I sat there for almost an hour. Now, we also just recently had announced that the bookstore is closing there. So we're sorry to announce that, but you might want to grab a book or two before they shut down for good. We also lost the Danube at Ohio State University. Everybody remember the Blue Danube? Danube, is that how I say it? Danube, I'm sorry. I had gone by it in the 70s and 80s a million times, and finally Kathy, my wife, and I went there to eat about 2 weeks ago and shot some pictures, actually loaded it to Google Maps. I did some moonlighting with Google Maps photography on the side. And I didn't realize they were going to close before Father's Day, but they just shut last week. So a moment of silence for the Danube. And now if you go to Ohio State University, if you're from out of town and you remember how the campus used to be in the 60s, it's a whole different animal down there now. Both sides of High Street have developed. I don't even think I can find the memorial on the Mershon hardly anymore. It's buried in the Wexner Center there, but we were just there a couple weeks ago. My stepdaughter had just graduated from Columbus School of Art and Design and Photography and moving on to her master's now at OSU. It's Courtney. So Kathy's a proud mother. So High Street has changed a lot. Papa Joe's is another popular spot. Remember Papa Joe's? That disappeared about 18 years ago, I believe. The only thing left down there is the library. That's the only bar I think that's still there.
Oh, the beer stew is still there.
The what?
The beer stew.
The beer stew.
Just south of campus.
Just south of campus.
Just back in a little bit.
Have you been to the Short North lately? Anybody that's been gone a while been back to the Short North? A few people? It has really turned around, cleaned up tremendously. And now the latest thing is watching people bicycle in a bar down High Street. Literally a bar on like a 10-person bike. I was like, what is this? So it's really come a long way over the years. Okay, another announcement. Worthington Field Studies turns 50 this summer. So they're celebrating their 50th. Anybody here in Field Studies? Oh, we have a couple hands back here. They took their first trip 50 years ago this summer and celebrating in 2 locations. July 19th and through Sunday, July 22nd, there will be a multi-day reunion at Rocky Mountain National Park in Colorado. Of course, it's going to be in the mountains, so got to do that. And also August 11th, there'll be a gathering from 11 to 2 at the Morolo Community Pavilion, known as the Shelter House or outdoor education building by the road behind Thomas Worthington High School in the floodplain area. John, the house down there in the floodplain, that was developed by was it your father?
Yes.
Yes, by his father. So John's got some roots in the shelter house. So that's coming up again August 11th, 11 to 2 for the folks interested in Worthington Field Studies. I also want to say special thanks to the Worthington High School 30-year alumni group's staff that has been great this year. First of all, I'm going to mention Diane Blaine. Diane's back here in the corner. She keeps me on my toes. If I do something wrong, she gets on me about it. So I do make a few mistakes. We both work a tremendous amount of hours between our jobs, so we managed to pull this together. And Diane, I couldn't do it without her. She's the one that goes and does the hard job of gathering up as much information of where everybody's located. We have an awful time keeping names and addresses, mailing and so forth. She organizes all the listing for this. So a big hand for Diane Blaine back here in the corner. She's holding this together. Also in our group, we have Bill Pefferly sitting right next door over here. Bill's been with our group for a number of years. He's our bodyguard at the door. I'm bouncer. He also works at Cabela's, so you might run into him there if you head to the Cabela's store at Polaris. That was founded, by the way, 1961 in Nebraska. I haven't hit that store once out on Route 80. Let me move on here. Go in front of the book. Class of 46, also in our group, is, and she's could stand up here. Let's see, Virginia Hedrick Dill. I have to remember her middle name, her married, not maiden name, maiden name. Virginia, you here?
Yeah, I'm back here.
Oh, she's over here now. She's way back here. Virginia is one of our oldest members here. Not to say it that way, but been with us the longest in this group, and she is great to have. Very detailed. I mean, she'll catch things that I miss, and that's great. She was going through the mailing and very accurately going through all the addresses and getting the envelopes mailed and so forth. Barbara Lang Taylor couldn't be here tonight. TK Seller is here. TK was my kid's guidance counselor all the way through the 2000s, and my sister's guidance counselor. TK, where are you at?
Over here.
Over here. Okay, he's over at John's table. He's from the class of 70. Of course, John Snoffer. He's our emeritus. Nikki Nesda is over in class of 69. She was also my art teacher. She wants to know why I didn't do stenography tonight. She taught me stenography in 9th grade. I really have to practice again. It's been a few years for the certificates. Nancy Leach is retiring, and Pam Gallipol. Pam is here. Where's Pam at? Pam, thank you very much for your service. She's retiring this year. She's been a tremendous asset to our meetings, putting input on what we need to do. Nancy couldn't make it earlier, as I mentioned. Dan Owens, over here from the class of 55. Is that right? Dan cheers us up and always has a smile on his face whenever he comes around. He's a great guy to work with. Morris is here. Morris Clary, biggest smile of the group. I just went over and took a picture of her earlier, and she just lit up the whole table over there. It's great. Morris is from the class of 57. Susie Bonnell, over here in this corner. They're kind of just sitting all around. Susie has a lot of input. She helped me do some of the editing here with going over the program, and gives me advice as well as that, and has a tremendous amount of input too. It also helped check everybody in tonight, between her and TK, and a few others over there. And see, Barbara couldn't make it tonight. Sue Bateman is from the class of 84. She'll be joining us as time goes on. She's not here this evening. And we do have a couple of openings, so if you're interested in helping out. Oh, Karen German, I'm sorry. Karen's here. Saving the best for last. Karen. She's hiding over here to the right. Okay, Karen German. Karen also is going to, I guess she overlooked the program as well. I need more eyes when I do these programs. I have to work with what Diane gives me and then try to organize this with a printing company here nearby called Magnum Press, which is now down Huntley Road. So thank you very much for your services as well. So what we're going to do now is elect a term for 2018 to move on. Nikki, Bill, and Dan, do you want to continue with us another 3 years? Okay, let's take a vote. Those say aye. Aye. Let's say nay. All right, you guys are in for 3 more years. So if you want to continue to talk a little bit or hang out, we've got the room here for another 45 minutes or so. So any questions you have, feel free to stop by. Our website is www.WHSalumni30yearclub.com. Now that's long, right? Just go to Google, Yahoo, or Bing and go WHS space 30. It takes you to our website right at the top. We put a special code in our page to help it drive to the top of any place in the world you want to type in. Doesn't look our site up. On our website, you'll find out more about dinners for next year. You can sign up for your email if you change your email address. We need to know what it is. That email will go to Diane Blaine. She'll record your newest email address. We'll try to update you at next year's reunion and the fall's activity too. We have at Thomas Worthington High School, and we have a homecoming meeting there every year. So we'll put some messages out on that. I also want to thank everybody that helped in the mailing too. There's also a list in our program on that, so thank you very much to those folks. And John, do you have more you want to add before we close it up? Well, you gotta go ahead.
Sandy, Sue, come on up. You look on the back of your program. Your final song is the alma mater.
Oh, we don't know it.
Look on the back of your program. What do you mean you don't know it?
I didn't know we had it.
You didn't know. Sandy, you ready? Hang on a minute. Stand up. Stand up. Join hands or put your arms around each other and sway it back and forth. Okay, Dan.
Thank you so much. Yes,